Unafraid Show, Reister or Wrong. It's your boy, George Reister in the building. Thank you guys for joining me today. You know it's college football season. This is the last Saturday of college football season. This is the last Saturday. I know all you guys are distraught like I am. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about the playoff and all of that. So we got a lot of things to break down where it comes to the playoffs. So you guys swipe up, share the feed, tell a friend about the Unafraid Show, and visit unafraidshow.com. And then if you miss anything or you don't have time to watch the whole Periscope, download the podcast. You can go to unafraidshow.com and it is there, always there. So what we got up for today, we're going to talk about the college football playoff. Were the best four teams in or the four most deserving teams? And you guys, anybody who wants one of these t-shirts, go to unafraidshow.com, hit the shop, and you guys can order you a t-shirt. Were the four best teams in, or the four most deserving teams in, was Tua and Kyler Murray, who played the best today. And I argue that Kyler Murray proved that he deserved the Heisman Trophy today. What is Michigan's future with Jim Harbaugh after they got boat raced again today? Clemson versus Bama in the finals, part 4. Should Notre Dame have been in? And also, UFC 232, Jon Jones won, and Daniel Cormier is afraid to fight Jon Jones again. You guys, as always, send in your comments to Unafraid Show. I'm mad. IMMAD at unafraidshow.com. Or you can tweet them in, send them in, whatever. I will get to them as usual. We'll always answer your questions. So I want to start out with the college football playoff. So everybody on Twitter today was talking about after Notre Dame got beat by Clemson. Everybody was talking about Notre Dame didn't deserve to be in. What? How didn't this make sense? Notre Dame, a team that was 12-0. They played only FBS opponents. I think they played 10 Power 5 opponents, but people thought that Notre Dame shouldn't be in because they lost. What kind of sense does that make? Like, do people not know the history of the college football playoff? The college football playoff regularly, the semifinal regularly has blowouts. Like, this is not like new news. Think about this. The first year of the playoff, Oregon played Florida State 59-20. The next year, Clemson beat Oklahoma 37-17. And Alabama beat Michigan State 38-0. Next year, Clemson beat Ohio State 31-0. Alabama beat Washington 24-0. This is not new news, man. Like, these blowouts are a part of the semifinals. I thought today that Clemson played really well. Sorry, not our Clemson. That Oklahoma played really well after the first quarter. Their offense did. But when you look at the fact that I think what happened to Oklahoma today was what happens to a lot of teams in the playoffs. They get a little too hyped up. They're especially when they're big underdogs. They want to go out there and prove it. That's why you saw so many penalties. That's why you saw Oklahoma playing undisciplined, because they wanted to go out and prove to Alabama that they're as big and bad as Alabama, instead of just coming out and playing their game. And it showed. They ended up down 28-0. Everybody thought it was over. I knew it wasn't over. Instead of deferring when they won the toss, whole different ball game. Because now Oklahoma has 2 possessions before Alabama can get up 14-0. They can move the ball. Some good things can happen for them. But instead, their defense, who hadn't been able to stop a nosebleed, except against Texas in the Big 12 championship, got put on the field first, and they got exposed. I mean, think about it. 7 points, 3 and out, down 14-0. That's a big deal. And then they just let it pile on and all that. I did think Oklahoma was going to win. I thought that they had a good chance to win, as it proved. I said that Oklahoma was going to put up 35 points. They were going to do a lot of good things against Alabama, And they did after they settled down. Their offense is too tough. And then if they had Hollywood Brown available, they would have done even better. And then you think about the Oklahoma wide receivers. Except for CeeDee Lamb, them dudes was dropping balls all over the place. And Kyler missed a few throws. These are the things that cause blowouts in the college football playoff. So the question is, though, did the four best... Yes, everybody, I am falling on the sword. Yes, I did say I've been calling for it all year. I did want to see it. I would have rather see the game today than see Georgia getting blown out. Because if Alabama played Georgia again, they were going to beat the screws off of them. They were going to put the screws to them. So the question is, did the top four teams get in, or did the four most deserving teams get in? I believe that the four best teams and the four most deserving teams got in. I don't think that even after this game, I do not believe that Georgia had any business in the college football playoff. You have to win the games that you're supposed to win. They had a chance against Alabama, 14-point lead, let the backup quarterback come in, lost the lead, and they lost by 20 at LSU. Yes, you're talented and all that, but you don't deserve to be in when you can't win the big games, the most important games. And if you see, Alabama has the best defense in the SEC. Some idiot said to me, he said, George, I don't think they had the best defense in the SEC. I think they had the best offense. Like, what are you trying to judge by? Scoring defense? Duh. Like, what happens in Clemson, Bama 4? I still like Clemson. I call Clemson winning it. I thought that they were going to be playing Oklahoma. But I like Clemson. I think that they are too tough. I think that Dabo Swinney is building something like extremely, extremely special in Clemson. Because if you consider the fact that his recruiting classes continue to get better and better, he's a great coach, and then he's got a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence who is a true freshman. Trevor Lawrence is a true freshman. So you might as well pencil Clemson in for the college football playoff for the next 2 years. No, Bama's not going to roll Clemson. I don't know why you think that. Like, if you watch the game today, against Oklahoma, what leads you to believe that Clemson, whose defense is head and shoulders above Oklahoma's? I mean, they're not even in the same stratosphere. Like, why do you think that on earth does anybody think that they're going to run over, that Alabama's going to be able to run over Clemson? It's not happening. I'm telling you guys that right now. You're going to have another dogfight that goes down to the wire against them. But I do think that these playoffs made the case for playoff expansion just that much more. Because you can have a team like Notre Dame, who everybody looks at and they're like, yes, they're talented, but they don't have the same type of dudes on offense like some of the other teams have. Like they're playing with guys. I think there were 3 guys who were starters on Notre Dame's team that the announcers were like, yep, this guy used to be a walk-on, but now he's a starter. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with walk-ons, but you can't have 3 that just develop better than the guys that you have on scholarship. Like, that just doesn't bode for you having as deep a roster as you need to win a championship. So, but the playoff expansion is absolutely necessary. Because think about what you saw today. The matchups would have been different if it were at 8 teams. You'd have had Washington versus Alabama. You would have had UCF versus Georgia. You would have had significantly different matchups, which would have led to different results and not just more blowouts. Yeah, I 100% believe that you would have different results. And it would make the playoffs that much more interesting because Cinderella will make the playoff more interesting. Because Ohio State, who is supremely talented, the only roster who has talent on par with Alabama. You don't think that if Ohio State brings their A game that they can play with Alabama? What? Of course they can. And I don't even want to hear any of the business about Notre Dame should not be in the playoff. Notre Dame deserved to be in the playoff. They earned their way in. And if you notice, nobody complained when Oregon blew out Florida State that they shouldn't have been in the playoff at the number 3 seed. Nobody complained about the fact that Clemson was in the playoff last year and they got beat up by Alabama 24-6. Nobody complained about that. It's just convenient with Notre Dame. So I just think that over the next couple years, I think that you're going to see a little bit of hate and skepticism surrounding Notre Dame. So an 11-1 Notre Dame team may not get the benefit of the doubt because they have not comported themselves well in the playoffs. Somebody said, I'm not sure any teams in the Big Ten are that good, to be honest. Ohio State may be overrated. What? I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. How can Ohio State be overrated? First of all, they have just as many NFL guys as Oklahoma does. I'm sorry, as Alabama does. They're well coached, even though their coach probably forgets a lot of things because of his medication. But still, they still have a lot. I mean, like I don't know why anybody would think that Ohio State is just some overrated team that Bama could just run through. The next game I want to go to, though, is Michigan. Michigan got the brakes beat off of them today. I mean, it was bad against Florida. And mind you, anybody that watches Florida play knows that Florida's offense is not supreme and superb. I totally agree that Ohio State would have fared better than Notre Dame did today. I think everybody would agree with that. And Ohio State would have had a chance to win and probably would have been favored. But Florida, with Felipe Franks, their offense is not that great. And then Michigan, who was ranked number 1 defense in the whole entire country pretty much all year, got drowned in their last 2 games. They got absolutely beat up by Ohio State and then today by Florida. So the question is this: what's up with Jim Harbaugh? Because mind you, Jim Harbaugh in 4 years at Michigan, he's 1-9 against the top 10. Can't beat Ohio State. I don't think that this is what Michigan fans were expecting when they got Jim Harbaugh as their coach. It can't be what they were expecting. So what's next for Michigan? If I'm a Michigan fan, I am concerned and I'm actually thinking, am I really sold on Jim Harbaugh? Because here is the truth about Jim Harbaugh. He is a really good coach. However, he is a late adopter to offense in 2018. He's like the old dude that tries to tell you that his 19s, oh yeah, this old clunker, it's better than those. It runs better, it's more reliable. Hell no, bro. Like, you can't. His offense is antiquated. We're talking about Jim Harbaugh. Offense is antiquated. And this run and punt style of play, like we're just going to play awesome defense. We're going to hold you down under 10 points and we're just going to lean on you until you break. That doesn't work. Nick Saban even had to change the way that he ran his offense. Before he got Tua, he was trying to do it with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts just couldn't do it at the same level that Tua was doing it. The the offense has changed in the pros. It's changed in college football. You have to be able to throw the ball, drop back, spread out the formation, get your athletes in space. So if Nick Saban, who's got the most talented roster in all of college football, knows that he has to do something different to continue to be successful, why doesn't Jim Harbaugh know that? Why hasn't Jim Harbaugh figured out, maybe I should do something a little bit different offensively? Because he's a late adopter. Like, you have to be, my mom says, if you always do what you always done, you'll always get what you always got. I mean, that's the truth. A comment came in. Michigan can't do better than Harbaugh, even at $10 million a year. Why can't they do better than Harbaugh? Why can't they can find anybody to lose to Ohio State every year? He's recruiting well, but I mean, like they tried to blame it on the quarterback situation. The quarterback transferred to UCLA and he played all right. Shea Patterson was supposed to be the guy to ignite Michigan's offense. Nope. I called it all year, and Michigan fans lit me up. George, you don't know what you're talking about. Michigan's offense is great. No, it's not. They're not explosive. And Jim Harbaugh is also one of the worst 2-minute. Like, he's displayed so many 2-minute blunders, clock management blunders this year. Play calling, running the ball 3 times inside the 10 with 2 minutes left. I'm sorry, with a minute left. Earlier in the season. Today, right before halftime, call plays to take a 52-yard field goal. What? It just doesn't even make sense. Like, he's too good a coach to be doing this. And he's moving himself down the rankings. Because people were arguing that that Jim Harbaugh was one of the 3 or 4 best coaches in college football. I would argue at this point in time, he's not one of the 3 or 4 best coaches in his conference in the Big Ten. I mean, how can you put somebody over anybody? Think about it. Urban Meyer this year, I know Urban Meyer is retiring, but he's still in right now. Urban Meyer. You got James Franklin, D'Antonio at Michigan State, Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, Ferentz at Iowa, Christ at Wisconsin. You got Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban, Lincoln Riley, Chip Kelly, Chris Peterson, Tom Herman. I will get to them as well. We've already talked about the teams that belong, the teams that didn't belong. Quiet as kept. Dabo has built a juggernaut in Clemson. This is exciting. Very, very exciting. And we'll get to the matchup in a minute. But I want to talk about Kyler Murray versus Tua Tagovailoa. Kyler Murray proved without a shadow of a doubt that he deserved the Heisman Trophy. And he proved it tonight. Over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns against probably the best defense and the most talented team in the country. Had a little jitters early, shook them off to play well. The receivers were dropping fantastic. But at the same time, Kyler Murray's degree of difficulty for his job is significantly higher than Tua's. Tua went 24 for 27 today, 318 or 320 yards, 4 touchdowns, under 0 duress. Guys running wide open, just having to hit slants, a lot of run after catch. Yes, you do a good job of pitching and catching the ball around, but that's not, the degree of difficulty is just different. Thank you. I love LA too. The degree of difficulty for Kyler Murray is just different. It's much higher. Much, much higher. He got the big goons from Alabama chasing him around. Oklahoma couldn't run the ball. Kyler Murray finds a way to run the ball. Finds a way to find guys open, extend plays. What else do you want the guy to do? Sorry, Tua, with the Heisman, Kyler Murray's degree of difficulty was just better. And I could not believe that after a month off, that Oklahoma's defense could not find a way to stop Alabama's run. And then when they did sell out in the run, it was a play action. Tua just zoomed it by their linebackers' ears. Big first downs on slants. I mean, it was like a slant fest. You heard Kirk Herbstreit just like, will you stop the slant, please? It was like he wanted to send a memo down to the Oklahoma coaching staff. It was embarrassing. But the football, the more chance is that the ball ends up on the ground, tip ball, fumble, interception, something like that. And Oklahoma's offense was starting to roll. They just couldn't get a stop on defense. Could not get a stop on defense. That was just, and if you can't stop the run, you cannot beat Alabama. There's two things you have to do. Stop the run and protect your quarterback. Someone said 19 for 37 is not Heisman-like numbers. It is when you think about it that probably 6 of those were drops, would have put him at 25 for 37. Would have put him well over 300 yards, even though he was already over 300. He would have been 350, 360. Yeah, that's a big difference. That's a humongous. Tua will not be putting up those same type of numbers against Clemson's defense. He won't have 3 incompletions against Clemson. That's blasphemy. Absolute blasphemy. So we talked about the college football playoff, the expansion. I wanted to talk about that for a second. Is that they have to expand. It's proper timing because after next season, the TV contracts that they signed, even though it's a 12-year deal, the advertising deals they signed are over after next year, which is the 6th year of the playoffs. So halfway. Perfect time to move to 8 teams. The 5 conference champions, 2 at-large bids, and the highest ranked non-Power 5 team if they're in the top 15. Think about how that works out. It's absolutely awesome. And it puts a premium on winning your conference. That means that your conference games matter. I mean, big time. Because teams are already scheduling these Rudy-Poo-ass non-conference schedules. So why not magnify the importance of conference play? Someone said, I'll get back to these comments before we get off. So, there at no point in time can anybody make it a case for there not being an 18 playoff? Cinderella needs to be in because they've proven that they could win. Think about historically. Utah showed that they could win, play with the big boys like Alabama. Boise State has shown that. UCF has beaten big-time teams in bowl games. So why couldn't it happen in the playoff? Someone said, do you think they get rid of conference championships in the expanded playoffs? No way. Why would you get rid of conference championships when the conference championships would be magnified that much more to figure out your 8 playoff teams? The conference champions have to go. Because the way that the committee evaluates teams now is completely biased. Completely biased. So you take out a lot of the subjectivity when conference champions automatically get in. People will be putting a premium on those games, which they should. And I cannot wait to see UCF play LSU. People are upset about things I've said about the SEC because they say bowl games don't matter. But then they win a game and then all of a sudden bowl games matter. Lose a game, bowl games don't matter. Come on, man. Oh, yeah. So someone said that they said that 4 teams would get the Boise States of the world in. We knew that wasn't true. When there's 5 Power 5 conferences, you can't, it's just the math on it is bad. So that's why the non-Power 5 teams have to get it built into the college football playoff that they get a spot if they're in the top 15. That's just what it should be. Now I want to get to the other thing that was absolutely amazing tonight was Bama's offense. The thing I love about Bama, the thing you have to appreciate about them, is that they will run the same play over and over, like Marshawn Lynch, running in their MF and face over and over and over and over again. Like, they don't try to get tricky. They'll get tricky if you make them. Like against Georgia, they had to get a little bit tricky. They just do the same thing over and over again if you cannot stop it. So who would have been in the playoff this year? You would have had someone asked if it were the 18 playoff, who would have been in this year? It would have been Alabama, Clemson, which are clearly the two best teams. The two best teams are in the championship. Notre Dame, Oklahoma, proper would have been awesome. And on Clemson, though, isn't it incredible what Dabo Swinney has built? Like, he's built a juggernaut. Like, everybody keeps talking about Alabama and how great Alabama is. But can we please not forget that Clemson this is their fourth time playing Alabama in the college football playoffs. The fourth time. That's impressive. Nobody else can say that. And they're going to be right back there the next 2 years because Trevor Lawrence is their quarterback. He would be the number one. He would be the number one pick if he were able to come out in the draft this year. Side note, though, how is Hunter Renfrow still playing at Clemson? Isn't he like a 15th year redshirt senior or something like that? Come on. Last thing I want to talk about today is UFC 232. Did anybody watch the whole undercard? Because it got moved from Vegas because of Jon Jones. I mean, like, Dana White explained it on FS1. He was talking about how, like, Jon Jones had like a 50th of a grain of rice of stuff still left in his system from when he got popped for steroids or performance enhancing drugs, whatever you want to call them. And so the fight has got moved to LA. And once you saw the way the fights turned out, because I was thinking about buying some tickets and all of that stuff, like the best fight of the day was Nunez and Cyborg. Nunez and not, oh boy, she's tough. She's tough. And but Jon Jones, he's weird. Like, I cannot give up on this dude. Like, maybe it's just me as a person. I just don't really give up on people I like very much. Maybe, but then that's like the quote that says, the man's strengths flow from the same well as his weaknesses. So while that may be a strength of mine, it also may be a weakness. I hold on to things too long and don't give up on people when I should. And Jon Jones, one of the greatest UFC fighters ever, proved it again. And Daniel Cormier won't fight him. Daniel Cormier is scared. He's a chicken. We'll just leave it at that. And before we get off today, I will answer your questions. Someone said, about Hunter Renfrow. I tweeted about him. I was like, isn't Hunter Renfrow literally Wes Welker, or like Danny Amendola, or like Cole Beasley right now? Like, he's the same person. He's the exact same person. Is part of it, oh, George, you're just saying that because he's white? That's part of it. Yeah, it is. It is. I'm not even gonna lie. It kind of favors him. He's not fast. He's not super fast. He's not super explosive, but he's reliable, always where you need him to be. Quarterback's best friend, like a mini tight end. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's okay. See what other questions that there are before I hop off. today. Oh, someone said that Muray didn't prove himself today. He never showed up in the first half. He can't play all by himself. His team did not play well. That's just what it was. It wasn't just him in the first half. He had too many nerves. His team didn't play well as well. As soon as they settled down, he played well, and he actually had to do way more. Yep, sunshine. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is sunshine from Remember the Titans. That may be it, guys. I appreciate you guys joining me today. Let me check YouTube, see if there's any comments. Someone said, I want to see Lincoln Riley without a Heisman quarterback. That defense is a joke. What? How silly is that? You want to see Lincoln Riley without a Heisman Trophy quarterback? For what? He's clearly part of the reason why these dudes are excelling, because he's a great coach. He's got good quarterbacks, but at the same time, he's a great coach, getting them to where they ought to be. And then he made a comment about Jon Jones. He said Jon Jones would be the greatest if he hadn't had so many hiccups. No, these aren't hiccups. These are character flaws. He's got to get his stuff together, man. I like Jon Jones a lot, but it's disappointing because would any of us be surprised if tomorrow we woke up and we found out that he had failed a drug test? No, we wouldn't, and that's disappointing. You guys, thank you guys for joining me today. Visit unafraidshow.com. Tell a friend about the Unafraid Show, and make sure that you download the podcast, share it with a friend, because we want to make Unafraid Show even bigger. If you want to get an Unafraid Show shirt, go to unafraidshow.com. Hit the shop button. It's always there for you guys to see as well. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your energy. Peace out. Catch you guys later. Greater articles up tomorrow.